Over time, there have been many famous city hills in the world. The Acropolis in Athens, Greece, the Seven Hills of Rome, Montmartre in Paris, France, Mount Royal in Montreal, Canada, and Knob and Telegraph Hills in San Francisco. In all the world, though, there are no hills like the hills of Riverside, California. Located in one of the inland valleys of Southern California, Riverside was started as an orange-growing community. The availability of water from the Santa Ana River and the warm climate made growing conditions ideal. The flat plain was protected by a ring of hills. Over time, many of the orange groves have been replaced by homes, and Riverside has grown into the 11th largest city in California, with a population of around 300,000. Riverside is known as a city of trees. Due to the foresight of our city leaders, Riverside streets and parks have almost 140,000 trees. Palm trees line many of our streets and provide beautiful vistas. There is a part of Riverside, however, that many of us take for granted: our hills. Whether you enter Riverside from the east, the west, the north, or the south, you can't help but be impressed by the hills of Riverside. One of Riverside's pioneers, Frank Miller of Mission Inn fame, realized the beauty and majesty of Mount Rubidoux in downtown Riverside when he started the outdoor Easter sunrise service in 1909. A peace tower was built in his honor. Mount Rubidoux, with its annual Easter sunrise service and July 4th fireworks, is the most well-known of Riverside's hills or mountains. But there are more, many more, all within the city limits of Riverside. Let's look around. The tallest mountain in Riverside is Sugarloaf Mountain at 1,960 feet above sea level. Anchoring the north end of the Box Springs Mountains, it is a lovely backdrop to the University of California at Riverside. Sycamore Peak at 1,600 feet is located in rugged Sycamore Canyon Wilderness Park, a 1,550-acre park with over 3 miles of hiking and biking trails. Coyote Hill at 1,541 feet and 2 adjoining hills make a grand entrance from the east. Devil's Peak at 1,500 feet is located in the western end of Riverside in the Norco Hills. Woodcrest Peak at 1,659 feet is located along Riverside's southern border above the Prenda Arroyo. When driving in Riverside, we can't help but be awed by the many scenic backdrops of hills. Pachapa Hill, Pinkerton, and Rockledge Hills, Coyote West Hill, Lion's Head and the Challen Hills, Sugarloaf, and the Box Springs Mountains, Quarry, Twin Buttes, Norwood Hill, Lizard Hill, Coyote East and the UCR Hills, and of course, Mount Rubidoux. What makes Riverside unique among all other cities is not just the number and diversity of our hills, but also the fact that there are actually 4 layers of hills and mountains surrounding the city. Let's take a look. First, we are surrounded by high mountains. Mount San Antonio, commonly known as Mount Baldy in the San Gabriel Mountains. Mount San Gorgonio in the San Bernardino Mountains. Mount San Jacinto in the San Jacinto Mountains. Santiago Peak in the Cleveland Forest. The next layer of hills is known as the Necklace of Hills, La Loma Hills to the north, Box Springs Mountains to the east, Gavilan Hills to the south, Norco Hills and El Sobrante Hills to the southwest. And Jurupa Hills to the west. The third layer of hills lie mostly within our city limits. Mount Rubidoux, Sugarloaf, Coyote East, Sycamore, Woodcrest, Little Mockingbird Ridge, the hills south of Van Buren, Challen Hills, and Pedley Hills. Finally, there are smaller hills within our city, which are not really so small, but are smaller than the first three layers of hills. In the north part of Riverside, Lizard Hill, the UCR Hills, Whiskey Wee Wee and Oskee Wawa, in central Riverside, Pachapa Hill, Rockledge Hills, Cemetery Ridge, Pinkerton Hill, Tiburon, and Quarry Hill. In the western end of Riverside, Poppy Hill, Lion's Head, Norwood Hill, Twin Buttes, Coyote West, and Crestlawn. These hills, their arroyos, our parks and trees, all make up Riverside Park. All of these hills are natural treasures that make Riverside one of the most breathtaking cities in the United States. We must all work together to preserve our hills and ridgelines as a legacy for future generations. Many areas have not had the foresight to preserve their hills and ridgelines. Riverside still has hills to preserve. When we look up to the horizon, let us remember the words of the poet Henry Van Dyke in God of the Open Air, which was first read at the Easter sunrise service on top of Mount Rubidoux in 1912. By the breadth of the blue that shines in silence o'er me, by the length of the mountain lines that stretch before me, by the height of the cloud that sails with rest in motion, over the plains and the vales to the measureless ocean, oh, how the sight of the things that are great enlarges the eyes. Lead me out of the narrow life to the peace of the hills and the skies. As far back as 1920, our hills has been revered. Riverside can say with pride, there are no hills like Riverside.